Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Isaiah and today I'm going to be talking about how to get rid of the awkward silence in every conversation. There's many, this is a very normal thing. It just depends on who you're talking to. Now, it could be you that's keeping the awkward silence because you could either be an extrovert or an introvert. If you're an introvert, most likely there could be awkward silence when you're talking to an extrovert. And an extrovert like me, it's gonna be a big problem if there's gonna be like a awkward silence. Um, there's a lot of things that you have to remember, so that's why I'm going to be sharing with you a few tips on how to get rid of that awkward silence in every conversation. The first step is to refer to something that had happened earlier in that conversation. Now, what you can do is you can ask them something they had said before or just affirm. Some people like that affirmation or that because it shows that you're being attentive and that you are present. So, an example would be, "Hey, didn't you tell me that you were struggling with work? um, how do you go about keeping your stress levels to a minimum?" That's an example, and by doing that you have kept the conversation going because you have asked them a question that will keep them engaged, and not only that, the conversation will continue. The next step is to talk about something that could be popular, that you share common interests. Like, let's say you're a teenager and most teenagers are on TikTok. You could talk about a popular trend that's going on, and if that's something that you share common interest with, then boom, you found yourself another conversation that you can talk about. If not, then you can find something else. But finding common interests in a conversation is very beneficial because it keeps you motivated. The next step is to remember that if you want to keep the conversation going, you need to also offer information. It can't be a one-way road, one-way street where the other person is sharing things about them and you're not sharing anything. So if you want to keep the conversation going, also offer information, because they can't just keep on offering stuff about them, because then the conversation will start. They'll get tired, and the conversation will start to flatline or will slowly die down. The next is to bring someone else into the conversation. For example, if there was something that the person had mentioned, like if you guys were talking about football's a common interest. Let's say you were talking about football, you can bring in somebody. Like, let's say you had a friend, and here's the example. Let's say you have a friend who's is at the party with you, and you guys are talking about football, and then your friend shows up. So I'll be like, "Speaking of football, my friend who just received a full ride scholarship is going to a D1 school for football." Now you see, you just made another way of keeping the conversation going. Another step is to be engaged and aware, because not being present or aware can also be a deal breaker in any conversation. Because that person may feel that you aren't interested, they may lose interest in talking to you. So, as I said earlier with affirmation, like clarifying just because, so they know that you're being attentive. Like, now picture me as the other person. I'm talking about how I'm going to this school and it's really tiring for me. Then you would ask me a question like, "So you said that that school is tiring for you. So what are you doing to make school more interesting for you? Now you see, you just ask them a question that related to the conversation. So now they know that you are being attentive and that you're present in the conversation. If you are not if you are not present or attentive in that conversation, then they are gonna think that you are not paying attention, which is a big deal breaker in any conversation. Like, let's say you are talking with one of your friends, and then your other friend comes in and they're talking to somebody else, and you keep on watching them like this, watching them talking to another person, and the person is still talking to you, and you are not making eye contact with them. They are going to think that you don't want to talk with them anymore. Therefore, they're probably going to try to finish off the conversation. Another step is this is the final step, is to remember that some people are introverts, and you being the extrovert or the introvert, there might be an awkward silence, and for an introvert, an awkward silence may be a relief to them, because they are not the type to just fully open up and just keep on talking. So the awkward silence may be a relief for them, because they can finally take a break. For me being the extrovert and me being an I in DISC, I'm very talkative. And with that being the case, I will talk a lot. So if there's an extrovert, like an SC or a C, or anybody who's reserved, being an introvert, and I am just talking and talking and talking and talking, they're gonna start to get tired and all that stuff. So you need to give them time to take a break. So that awkward silence doesn't mean that for extroverts, that awkward silence, it doesn't mean that you need to build up the conversation. It is okay to take breaks. Taking those breaks is very beneficial for everybody. So remember that. So it all depends on whether your friend or the person you're talking to is an introvert or an extrovert, and you'll be able to see that by if they are reserved or outgoing. For me, being an outgoing person, and I'm talking towards someone who's reserved, we are complete opposites. We may have common interests, but unless you know that person or know how to go about that conversation, then that conversation may die down fast. So I hope you gain valuable tips from this video, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you all, and I hope you have a blessed day.